Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 94. Andrew
Hello.
Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Matthew is rewatching Stargate SG-1, and how long that show was. Yeah, there was 10 seasons? Something
I
like
don't
that.
think I've seen a single episode of the show. I saw the movie, and I thought the movie was fun, but
The movie was fun, and then I think they really turned it into a good premise for a television show.
did
And
they?
so, yeah.
Was Stargate Atlantis like one of the seasons, or was that a complete
No, that
spin-off?
that was a spin-off television show. I forget if they actually went there in SG-1 or if they just kind of tied it together afterwards. But yeah, it's a spin-off show, and they've had some back and forth between them. And then there was Stargate Universe, which was
I didn't even
is
hear
it
of that one.
Universe? I think it's Universe, where it's
Hmm.
a yeah, it was a totally different format show that fit into the premise, and a lot darker premise, because it's like a bunch of people end up trapped on an ancient spaceship that's on an autopilot course across the galaxy, or actually into another galaxy or something like that. And it was a pretty good show. It just, because the format and the tone was just totally different from SG-1 and Atlantis. People
Hmm.
didn't get drawn to it as easily, which was unfortunate because it was really good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I had an interesting experience this week. I found out that on my Amazon account that I had a free trial for digital books,
Hmm.
like 30 days free Kindle books, and I probably ignored it for so long because I don't have a Kindle.
Yeah.
But I noticed that there was a web reader for it, so I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, free books. So I'm like, all right, and I'm like, what should I read? And I was thinking to myself, let's spread our wings here. Let's try something new because I love what I read typically are uh, fiction, but I like action, sci-fi, murder mysteries, horror, fantasy. I like all kinds of books, and I thought, what do I not read? I thought
So you read a
nonfiction,
bunch of.
and
Oh,
I
I
went,
was going to say you were
no,
going to go for romance novels.
that's exactly what I went for.
Oh,
I
really?
have never read a romance novel. And I mean, I'd always see my mom liked romance novels. She did. I don't think she owned any of them, but when she'd come back from the library, she'd often have like a Catherine Woodwist book or something. You
Hmm.
know, the books that had the Fabio looking dude on
Fabio's
the
on the
front on a
cover. Yeah.
horse with the
The half
with the
dressed woman draped in
woman
his
and the
arms.
yeah,
Yeah.
those. And
Yeah.
I have never read because they look stupid as hell. And there's a Steve Gutenberg movie from decades back when Steve Gutenberg
Hmm.
was making movies, and I forget what it's called. But in the movie, his mom is a romance book writer, and she loans the her books to the woman that Steve Gutenberg is dating. And so she's sitting there reading one, and she's reading it out loud to her. She's in her room, just sitting on her bed reading this stuff, and she's like, and he, you know, her heaving bosoms, he grabbed her in his arms, and they kissed in the face, and she's like, "Oh, this is stupid." And she throws it across the room, and then she looks at it, and the next thing she's like devouring it. And my mom's like, "Yeah, they are stupid, but they are page turners." I'm like, "Okay." And I took her word for it, and I never actually tried a romance book. And so I was browsing the romance books, and I'd read the typical ones that had the Fabio looking dude on the front, and
Yeah.
I'd read the description. I'm like, "Oh my god, these sound so stupid and boring." And then I came across one which looked like a superhero book because it had a picture of um, someone, two people flying, one in a cape and one getting punched in the face. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, superhero romance. So I read the book or read the description, and apparently it's called "Villains Don't Date Heroes," and it's about a supervillain who falls for her her nemesis, the hero that keeps
Yeah.
foiling her plots to take over the world. And I'm like, okay. So I read that, and there's actually a series of these things, and I'm in the middle of the third one right now.
Nice.
Um, and it's actually, honestly, it's not very well written. I'd have to look into the biography of the person who wrote it, but I'm guessing she's young, and I'm guessing she does
These are
not have an
first year.
editor.
Yeah.
I think she's self-publishing, because I think these are
Probably.
ebook only. Um,
Yeah.
they really, let me back up because this is getting a little mean. They are enjoyable reads. They're incredibly imaginative, and the stories are really fun. It's just not really well written. Um, um, and I get the sense that she has no editor. Her editor is essentially spell check. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of awkward wording and typos and stuff that an editor would actually catch. And but she has so many really wonderful ideas, and it's just a lot of fun. Matthew says sounds more a comedy than romance. You could say that, because it's the romance is almost incidental to the entire thing.
Mhm.
I mean, it's there, but the book is more about Night Terror, who is the greatest villain that Starlight City has ever seen.
Starlight.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, and I think it's Starlight City. No,
Yeah.
it's something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and it's more about her exploits as a villain and how she tries to um, deal with the fact that she's dating her arch nemesis, and kind of the friction that comes when a villain and a
So
hero
is
hook up.
she dating him as their villain and superhero personas, or as their uh, secret
Well,
identity
the first
personas?
book is her trying to figure out who she is, and so she figures, okay, she's young, she's probably a college student, so she goes under, so she like hypnotizes the HR admin at the local college and gets herself a job as a professor so that she can try and figure out who her hero is. And there's a funny line in the book that she sees her and she figures out who it is, but she's not quite sure, because all the villain is a tech villain. She has no powers
Yeah.
herself. She's kind of like Batman. Uh, and she's like, it's kind of weird because all the facial recognition software is completely thrown off by her glasses, because apparently Felix, or whatever the hero's name is, wears a pair of glasses when she's at school, so the facial recognition software are like, we're not really sure if that's her or not. Um,
Okay.
and she has an AI that runs her equipment that turns against her, and uh, commandeers a giant death robot to take over the city. And in the third book, we now have radioactive lizards that keep stomping through the city, because the government didn't clean up the remains of the Manhattan Project. So there's this toxic waste dumping ground outside of town. Um, that's high in radiation, and there's a certain species of lizards that keep growing to Godzilla size and stomping through the town, and
Yeah.
it's like a weekly pain in the ass that these giant
Nice.
lizards keep walking through town. And she has her new villain, the person she's facing off, who's like, and the world is going to see the horrible person you are. She's like, I am a villain. Why do you think I care what the public thinks of me? I'm the greatest villain ever. Um, and she's trying to, because the new villain captures her girlfriend, and so she goes to save her, and she's like, she's got a robot army that's attacking the city. Well, she probably didn't load them with AI, so we've got to find the signal. But all I can find is she, because her secret base is like under the basketball stadium at the college, and she's scanning for the signal that's controlling all the robots. But the only thing she can find is the campus Wi-Fi signal. And it takes her a few minutes to be, and she's like, "Oh my god, is she using the campus Wi-Fi to control an army of death robots?" Yes, that's so stupid. I didn't even think of it. Just ideas like that this villain is using the campus Wi-Fi,
That is awesome. That
and
is
she's like,
hilarious.
"Why are you doing that? What if some surly system admin gets pissed off that you're using all the bandwidth and shuts it off?" It's it's really a fun read. It's really so I end up being kind of disappointed by the amateur nature of the writing. It feels like the author is probably like 22 or something like that, or
Yeah.
just starting into writing. It's interesting because I've seen her get a little better as the books progress. For
Yeah.
example, our villain in our the villain of the piece, Night Terror. Um, she, she does the best to make her a fun character that you want to root for. So she has her own moral code. So she doesn't like outright kill most people, only really bad people who really get in her way. And she does her best to minimize what she calls collateral damage because you can't take over the world if there's no one in it to subjugate, right?
Yeah.
So, Matthew says the pros and cons of self-publishing, I guess. Yeah, the fact that you can
Well,
publish whatever you want, but you don't necessarily have an editor. I hope
yeah.
more than an editor, what I hope this author gets is a writing mentor, something to really guide her, because she definitely has the verve. She has the ideas and a lot of really smart ways of putting things together. It's just generally the writing. She has a particular quirk which can be funny, but I feel is overused, in which she'll state a thing and then she'll restate the thing exactly, kind of as a joke. Like hard to come up with an example on the fly, but she'll say something like um I don't want to take the trash out because it's like taking the trash out, and taking the trash out is not something I like to do. That's a horrible example, and
Yeah.
I can't think of it, but she has a. I could probably pull up the book and scan any given page and find an example, but it's something that can be used well, but I think is overused. The character also says thank you very much. It's a first person book, and she says thank you very much a lot. You know, I'm the greatest hero the world's ever seen. Thank you very much. And I'm kind of curious if that's a quirk, that
Yeah.
idiosyncrasy is a quirk of the author, if she actually says that in everyday speech, or if it's something she invented for her villain.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, but it feels overused to me. There's a couple plotting things that don't work. She seems to get lost as to where people are and when. There's
Hmm.
kind of a, for example, it's not clear how long Night Terror was actually in college before she found Theolux, or however you pronounce the hero's name, and captured her. At one point, it kind of implies that it's been an entire semester, which would be at least a couple of months.
Yeah.
But then there's another point that says it's been a couple of weeks. Um,
Hmm.
there are some other things that's where it's not clear. There would be three people in a scene, and I'd have to go back and really track who's saying what or where people are.
Yeah.
Not that it's a bad read. It's not poorly written. It just has a lot of room for improvement. So,
Okay.
um, but it's called "Villains Don't Date Heroes" is the first one, and then "Villains Don't Save Heroes" and "Villains Don't Train Heroes," I think, is the third one. And the author is Mia Archer. So,
Okay.
if anyone wants to check those out, they are available on Kindle or something. So, if you have a free
Okay.
trial, you can read them for free, and they're very light, fun reads.
That is
Um,
Yeah, that is an interesting premise because I've toyed with the idea of writing a superhero novel, not a graphic novel, but just a novel, because I guess they're out there, and it's just you don't see them very often, but they like I've toyed with writing a lot of things, so I can't really can't really say she has actually published 3 books, which is more than I've ever published. But self-publishing, yeah, if you are not careful, yeah, you're gonna come, if you don't actually seek out an editor, you're gonna run into a lot of that.
Yeah, the
And
types of typos I'm seeing are not misspellings. So she's clearly either a very good speller or running it through spell check. The types of typos I'm seeing are the ones that will pop up when you rejigger a sentence and
yeah.
you make a boo-boo, but everything's actually spelled correctly, but you have like a stray the in the sentence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The, and it's like the cat that jumped up onto the shelf. It's like, oh, we clearly rephrased the sentence and left a stray the in there, but spell check isn't going to catch that. So
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
few
And
things like that pop up.
yeah, and I know that like Microsoft Word has an actual grammar check too, where it doesn't catch everything. Like it probably wouldn't catch that, but it will catch if you put 2 thes in a row, it'll catch
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, and occasionally it'll catch like oddly formatted sentences and stuff. But yeah, even if you're publishing by yourself and you can't afford an editor, and there are affordable editors out there, just having a friend, somebody that you know is very good with English, just read it and find all those kind of typos for you would
Hmm.
help tons. Because even in some professionally edited books, I will find
Oh
weird
yeah,
typos
yeah.
every now
It
and then, and
happens.
it happens. But just having somebody, just check spelling and grammar for you can go a long way. And even and just have that person ask you about, point out things that are kind of confusing and everything would help as well. Matthew says editors are not cheap,
Oh,
and
absolutely. I'm not
yeah,
blaming
they're
her for it.
not.
She
Yeah,
may not have the resources for it. What I'm trying to express is I hope she at the least comes into a position where she can have an editor or a
yeah,
writing mentor because I th I think she has places to go with this because there's a
yeah.
lot in here that's impressing me.
Yeah, and there's a and I would totally, if you're interested in this, you could check even meetup.com, or I think it's .com. There's typically writers groups on there that meet like once a month or so, and you could get involved with those, and just sharing work between writers is something a lot of self-published authors do. So,
Yeah, there's probably some
um,
local book or authors club type of things that you could
yeah.
do. Yeah.
But,
So, yeah, other broader things like Felix, who's the hero in the book that she's crushing on. Um, she has no real character in the first book. You don't get much of this. It's a first person book, so the focus is on Night Terror and what she's
yeah.
doing and thinking and feeling. But still, when you're talking about a romance, you probably want to get a good sense of the character of the second party. And
Yeah.
the first book, you don't get that so much, but she does that does get better as the books go on, and especially in the second and the third book, she starts giving Felix, or however that's supposed to be pronounced, much more of her own personality and
Yeah.
character,
Well, that's
rather
good.
than just being, oh my god, incredibly attractive person that I'm attractive to. That's actually the kind
Yeah.
of repeated sentence structure that she used. There is an attractive person that I am attracted to. There are ways to use that kind of speech pattern to emphasize in a humorous way, and she
Yeah.
does. I just think that she does it too much to the point where it gets kind of repetitive. And some of
Mhm.
her, she has a few repeated turns of phrases like the "thank you very much" that get a bit repetitive, and I'm like, find new ways to word. two-word there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've read some romance book. Maybe these don't count because they're not the bodice rippers of yore, but hey, superhero book about a villain dating a superhero. So I've now read a romance book, and I'm and we're good. So
Yeah.
what have you
Now,
been
now all
doing
you
this
got to
week?
do is read Twilight, and
Oh
you're good to go.
gosh, yes.
Uh, so this week, I've been let's see, I've been playing a lot more Stardew Valley this week. Earlier this week, Concerned Ape, the developer behind Stardew Valley, announced that they're in. He says that he's hoping to have the new content slash multiplayer update out in a month, and I read that and checked out the wiki and everything, and then I just got me some ideas flowing about what I want to do in Stardew Valley. And so I've been playing one of my farms, it's my first farm, and I'm playing that one and kind of redesigning my my farm and making it look nice because I've just kind of been maximizing profit for the last 4 in-game years, and so this year so now I'm like, okay, well, let's make a nice looking farm and not really maximize for profit. And so yeah, that's been going pretty well. And I'm really excited to see what they have coming out, because they've teased a lot of content. They've teased like items and stuff that you can get, but they've also teased a ship out in the ocean, which the ocean doesn't they don't really do anything with the ocean in the game right now, but there's now going to be a ship, and so everybody's just kind of speculating about what this is going to be, because Concerned Ape mentioned that he's adding more end game content, where the main part of the game is just kind of building your farm and completing the community center, and then there's a couple of quests that come up after that in order to gain you access to some special areas, and so that's what this seems like, is he's probably going to add some new quest or something to open up the ocean a little bit more. So that would be really cool, just to see what he pulls off in there.
Is Stardew Valley a random generated map, or just a
No,
static map and
it's
everyone plays the same map?
yeah. Well, the everyone plays the same map. There's 5 different farms that you can choose from.
Mhm.
So you can choose a standard farm, which is just a big open area where you can just plant tons of stuff. There's a forest farm, which is focusing on the foraging skill. A river farm that focuses on the fishing skill. A quarry farm that focuses on the mining skill, and then a wilderness farm that focuses on combat. And then the only real randomly generated areas are the mines and the caverns, which are
Hmm.
just two. The mines are they're not really random. I guess they're not really randomly generated, because each floor is a specific shape, but the ores and rocks and stuff that show up, that's all randomly generated. But the skull caverns have a set, like a set pool of shapes that it pulls from, and then a couple of tile sets and themes that it pulls from, and then it randomizes those as you go down. And every time you go into the skull caverns, you get a totally different random floors as you go down. So but
Hmm.
yeah, but in general, everything is pretty static. There's Characters have set patterns of where they go each day of the year, and what they say and everything, depending on your friendship level and whether you've completed the community center and all that stuff. So but yeah, the this new update that's going to be coming out sometime in the next month is going to have multiplayer. Up to 4 people can play on the same farm, and that's going to be a pretty neat idea. Um, my kids will like that if it allows us to play together, because we're both playing off my Steam account. They play Steam offline, I play Steam online, and so we'll see if it allows us to play together. Because my son has been wanting to play with me ever since he likes Stardew Valley as well, so that's pretty cool. And so does my Susan, my middle. Well, it's not my second oldest daughter. She really likes Stardew Valley as well, so we'll have to see how that goes. Unfortunately, I only have 2 computers that can run Stardew Valley, so can't get 4 players in our family going at once. But yeah, other than that, I've been playing Pokemon Go again, and this week they actually, or the past couple of weeks, they've introduced a number of things. They actually started some what they call field research and special research, which are basically quests that you get, and you go and complete the quest, whether it's like catch a certain number of Pokemon, a certain number of a specific type, or go to a certain number of gyms or Pokestops or beat raids, whatever. And so each day you can complete a field research task, get a stamp, and once you get 7 or 8 stamps, you can get an encounter with a legendary Pokemon, which right now is Moltres, the fire bird from Gen 1. And which is really cool. I've actually caught 2 of them. Both of them been pretty lousy, IV wise, but the other task is special research, which is a specific set of tasks. You got 8 levels of this. Each level has 3 specific tasks to do, and you get a reward at each level. But one of them is to catch a Ditto, and Ditto's already pretty tough to catch anyways, because there's only like 9 different Pokemon that can have the potential of being a Ditto. But the day before I got to this point, this task to catch a Ditto, they started a promotion where they they basically changed all the spawns to mostly be Gen 1 Pokemon, because one of the tasks for this, and the goal, once you get all 8 of these tasks done, your reward is to catch a Mew, which is the first time Mew has actually been introduced into the game. And but one of the tasks in there is to catch a Ditto, and some of the other tasks are to get a certain number of Gen 1 Pokemon, get your gold, silver, and gold badges, and so they're running a promo right now where it's just basically all Gen 1 Pokemon. Every once in a while you'll see a Gen 2 or Gen 3 Pokemon. But they also changed it to where all of the Pokemon that have the potential of being a Ditto are now super rare. And so it's like, I'm stuck on this task to catch a Ditto, and I'm just like, any normal day I would catch like 20 Pidgeys and Rattatas a day, 20 to 30 Pidgeys and Rattatas a day, and have that potential to catch a Ditto. Now I'm catching maybe 3 things a day that could be a Ditto, and I still haven't found it. It's been over a week, or it's been a week since this event started, and I have not caught a Ditto. And I keep seeing things online on Reddit and stuff where people are like, "Oh, I finally caught a Ditto," and it's just like, really? Where are you finding Dittos? Because I can't find them anywhere, and so it's really bugging the crap out of me. And I actually posted on the Pokemon Go Reddit page and about it, because it's just like, I knew this Mew special research thing was going to be difficult, but I didn't expect Niantic to actually throw roadblocks into my way, like actively make it hard to complete specific tasks. Because that's what they basically did, because they took out all of those Ditto Pokemon, and now they're like super rare, and it's really annoying. I hate it. So luckily the event only goes till Tuesday, so eventually I'll be able to start catching more Pokemon that could potentially be a Ditto. But yeah, I'm a week behind where I could be, I think.
Hmm. All right.
Uh,
Well, Chaos says, anyone excited for the Shenmue HD collection? No.
no, I heard that Shenmue 1 and 2 are uh, coming out on
It doesn't
console in
surprise me at
in
all
the
since they're making
US.
Shenmue 3, so the
Yeah,
fact that they're repackaging the first two is not at all surprising. I
yeah,
don't have it.
not at
I'm
all.
glad they are. I feel that Shenmue has earned its place in gaming history.
Yeah,
Here's the problem. Neither game is good, like, at all.
they had a big following, and I
They're
think part of it is probably because the Dreamcast has such a limited library that yeah, it's you know,
Well, not only that,
it's
not
one
to
of the
sell the game
better.
short. The games genuinely pioneered nearly their own genre of game. I mean, no one had
Yeah,
really ever seen anything quite like Shenmue and Shenmue 2 attempted. And the game is clunky and arguably not really fun. But it does so much new and
yeah.
unique and gives you an experience that at the time it came out,
Hmm.
um, 15, 20 years ago, very early 2000s, uh, was something that we had not seen before. I mean, it was really, there was, at the time, it was just kind of incredible to wander around your house and open drawers and see stuff in it, like socks, because it's a
Yeah,
sock drawer. And you'd wander around, you'd open, like, oh my God, there's pencils and scissors. It's a junk drawer. And you'd open another thing. And then you'd realize that you can't do anything with any of that stuff. Nothing
it's set
matters.
dressing. Yeah,
Yeah, all of it's set dressing, but
but you can drive a forklift.
that's true. You can
Yeah,
get a job,
yeah,
but it's boring. It's really, really boring. It's not very
yeah,
fun because it's way too. It's not like a little mini game that. I mean, it is a mini game, but it's one that you kind of have to grind.
hmm,
The town is really cool. And they did a lot with voiceovers, although I've never heard the Japanese voiceover. The English one is famously bad. I
yeah,
mean, but bad in kind of a charming way, I suppose. A lot of people really have an affection, a genuine affection for the English dub, even though it's really bad.
yeah,
Um, the story is kind of crap. In fact, it's not. It just kind of ends. It's like,
yeah,
I'm gonna go to China to follow Lan Di, who killed my dad, and then the game ends because they either ran out of space or ran out of time. And then Shenmue 2 was really supposed to be just chapter 2 of the game. Or actually, like, I think the boat trip over, I think an adventure happened on the boat, but they didn't do it and they ended
yeah,
up putting that in like a comic book. and and
yeah,
Shenmue 2 is kind of amazing because the climax happens like several hours before the end of the game.
hmm,
You have the big fight with Brutus or whatever the hell's his name is, and then Londi is like, "I'll get." Well, he doesn't do that. He just flies off in a helicopter
yeah.
dramatically, and then you
Dramatically. Is
and
there
then you're
any
like,
other way to fly off in a helicopter?
right. But and then this is kind of the most. It's it is so ballsy. No other game would do this. It's boring as hell, but you kind of respect it for saying we're doing this because
Yeah,
at the very end of the game you get a clue to go to this town way out in the middle of the mountains somewhere. So you go to this town and you're like, how do I get to this village in the middle of the mountains? And they say follow the path, and you do, and it's literally a 2-day walk. It's so boring. Now to be clear, you actually meet what's her name who's actually in the eye catch
yeah,
the demo the intro movie for Shenmue, who doesn't show up in the first game at all. You finally meet her at the very end of Shenmue 2, and you end up literally just walking with her and chatting with her
yeah,
for like 2 solid literally 2 in-game days, but it takes like 2 hours of gameplay. I guess you could skip most of the conversations, but
Yeah.
why would you? Because if you don't talk to anybody, you have no game. But it's really weird that the ending of this game is a 2-day nature hike with a brand new character. And all the other characters you've been with up to the gang leader dude and the kid and the bikini wearing motorcycle woman
Yeah.
who has her own incredible theme song that plays every time she shows up. And I keep wondering, does she have like the radio playing on her motorcycle? Is that like can Ryu hear that? Is it coming from her motorcycle, or is that just her theme? They just kind of drop out of the story, and then you get to the village and you have dinner, and then you decide to go to meet her father in a mine, and then some weird mystical crap happens, like the sword in the stone is there and I'm like forgetting now, but some weird mystical thing happens and the game just stops and you're like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
It is so
Nice.
weird.
Yeah.
But
It
the
sounds
games
like
are
it.
really clunky. The control is terrible. The story is not good. The pacing is off. There's actually not a lot of gameplay.
Yeah.
Um, there's a whole fighting system, but there's almost no fighting in the first game. There's a little bit more in the second game.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's to the point where there's so little fighting that when you get to a fight, you've had no practice and you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
There's a huge move list for this thing. I mean, there's probably like 30 different moves in this game, and you're like, I did button mash.
Yeah.
That said, without what Sega did with Shenmue, we probably would not have, which is something Matthew pointed out in the comments, we would not have Yakuza. Sega, with the Shenmue games, paved the way for what the Yakuza games would eventually become, and they're
Mhm.
fantastic, and you should play them. So the Shenmue games are not good, but they are definitely interesting and have earned their place in gaming
Gaming
history,
history.
I think.
Yeah. Definitely. I agree with you there. They're not really something that I'm that interested in playing, but yeah, that's what you like, and you want to support that. As Scotty J Man says, he's excited for these releases because he backed Shenmue 3 on Kickstarter and then realized he hadn't played the first two.
Yeah.
Um,
And what
so
was funny is the Dreamcast was dead by the time the sequel came out, so I think it was on Xbox. I think there's a
I
PC
think so.
port
Maybe.
at some point,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a shame.
Yeah.
Because if you were really a fan of, and I don't begrudge anyone who was a fan of Shenmue at the time, because as clunky as that game was, and oh boy, is it clunky, it
It
was
was,
so new and unique at
yeah,
the
it
time
was
that
new and different.
I
Yeah.
kind of liked it at the time too, because it was just, I'd never seen anything like it. But when
Yeah.
you do take a step back, you're like, there's nothing to do in this game. You don't really do anything.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Well,
but what I'm trying to say is Yakuza is great, and you should play those games. Hopefully, Shenmue 3
yeah.
iterates on the work that Sega's been doing with the Yakuza games in the last decade. And because I think Shenmue 3 could genuinely be a really great game if they fix things like character and story and control and pacing and gameplay and like everything.
I'm sure they could manage to get some of that fixed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really just hoping that Ryu takes that damn band-aid off his face. Because the character model has like a band-aid on his cheek, and he has it from the beginning of the first game to the end of the second game. And it's like, oh my God, it has become it must become like one with his, it must have grafted itself to his
He
cheek at this
tried
point.
taking it off at one point and it hurt too much, so he decided to just leave it there. He's a very sensitive guy and doesn't like pain that much. Even the act of ripping a band-aid off just way too much for him.
Yeah, but it'll hurt. Well, it's become one with your cheekbone now, buddy. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually downloaded the. I think I mentioned this last week. I downloaded the demo for Yakuza 6, which comes out Tuesday, and I'm super excited for. Because
Nice.
I didn't want to play Zelda, but the game took too damn long to download, so I didn't get to even play it that night. But I played it, I think Sunday or Monday or something like that, and
Yeah.
I've since exhausted the contents of the demo, so I have nothing left to do in it. And I have to sit and wait a week for the game to come out. But it's pretty great. There's a cat cafe, but the cat cafe only has one kind of ornery cat in it. So the owner tasks you with finding stray cats to populate the cat cafe, and I'm like, yes, this is the best game ever. And I didn't find any cats. I don't know if they're not in the demo or I just didn't know where to look. But the cat cafe, there's a chair that you can just sit in, and you just kind of sit there in first person mode. And I'm
Yeah.
guessing that once you stock the place with cats, the cats are going to come up and you can pet them. I'm like, oh, this is going to be the greatest game ever. And
Nice.
there's something about finding your missing daughter, but cat cafe.
Yeah. Definitely. So I wanted to address something. Matthew earlier said that talking about Stardew Valley, says, I'm surprised Concerned Ape is still doing stuff for Stardew Valley. I know he's working on his next game. And then he says, which is the Magic School RPG. And no, that's not correct. Concerned Ape isn't involved with the Magic School game. That's his publisher, Chucklefish. They're working with some other developer or doing it in-house or something. It's just a game with a Stardew Valley theme. But Concerned Ape is working on a new game. He hasn't announced anything about it other than that it is in the world of Stardew Valley, because there is a greater world in the Stardew Valley world. You get little hints of it in Stardew Valley. Like one of the characters is a war veteran, and he's gone the first year of the game because he's off actually in battle, and then he comes home at the beginning of the second year. So we don't know what Concerned Ape's new game is actually going to be about, how it's going to play, or anything like that. But it's not the Magic School RPG. So I just wanted to address that.
Okay. One thing I want to address before we move to our first topic, even though our hour is almost up, is Peeps are disgusting.
Yes, they are.
And they're bad enough, but you may have. I was in the store and I saw different flavors of Peeps, and I wasn't kidding. There is literally pancakes and syrup flavored Peeps.
That sounds absolutely
Ew.
disgusting. Peeps are just these. I don't even know exactly how to describe the flavor, other than it's nasty. It's gross. I can't stand it. They don't even taste like a marshmallow.
I know.
I will open up a bag of marshmallows and eat those one right after the other. But you stick a Peep in my hand, I'm just chucking that thing in the trash because they don't even taste like a marshmallow.
Yeah, I mean, I like marshmallows just fine. I like sugar. You'd think a sugar-covered marshmallow would be a no-brainer, but somehow they're disgusting.
Yeah,
and pancake and syrup flavors. Oh,
yeah, that just sounds gross.
And
I love pancakes and syrup. You get I will eat pancakes. Those are delicious. And I make I always add a little bit of nutmeg to my pancakes, and
fancy.
It's really good. Maybe you have to roast the Peep. I've never actually tried that.
Caramelize that sugar on the outside. Maybe. Now I actually saw another one. I saw this one. And
sour cherry Peeps. See, that's a little more appetizing sounding.
That actually sounds like it might not be too bad.
Yeah, but still, it's Peeps, and I'm
Yeah,
hesitant to try.
yeah. The other one I saw was this one, which is
Peeps
Peeps
Oreos. Okay, so
Oreo
that's Oreos with Peeps
flavored
stuff inside it.
Oreo filling. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds gross.
I probably would not touch those.
Yeah.
Oreo's done some weird stuff lately. I guess that they're getting
Mm.
involved. Like Lay's over the last few years, Lay's has been doing
Uh,
mystery flavors
the potato
and
chips.
they have potato chips,
Okay.
and then like they'll do a bunch of different flavors, and then everybody votes on them, and that's the flavor they're gonna keep
Mm.
and stuff. And then Oreo decided to do something similar where they introduced a mystery flavor, and then there was a contest where you could submit what you think the flavor was, and if you were correct, you had a chance of winning um, winning this. And
Tell us
I'm just
how would you describe this flavor?
we don't know. Yeah.
We don't know.
Um,
We're gonna focus
my
group.
my when this it came out, I tried the Oreos, and I'm just like, okay, seriously, this tastes like they created a somewhat pleasing flavor in a lab and had no clue how to what to name it, and they were just like, you know what, let's just create a contest, and then we'll go through all of the contest entries and see which one we think matches as close to what this flavor is, and then give that person the award. And I don't know if that's exactly what they were doing, but that's just what it seemed like. Later on, they revealed that it was Fruity Pebbles flavored, um,
Hmm.
which I'm just like, okay, I guess that fits. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience trying those, and it wasn't even a flavor that I was like, yeah, I would eat this. But yeah, Oreo's done other stuff. Like they did pumpkin spice Oreos, and they've done other stuff. I'm more of a either traditional or mint Oreos. Those are the only two I'll really eat. So yeah,
Okay, so let's move to our first topic while we have some time left, which is the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, sent out a press release earlier this week, um, saying that it has identified six major companies that it didn't name, but it said that these companies, their warranties are bad and against some law that's been around, the Magnuson Moss Warranty Act. Uh,
yeah.
Basically, they said that provisions that tie warranty coverage to the use of particular products or services harm both consumers who pay for them as well as the small businesses who offer competing products or services. So, the FTC staff has requested that each company review its promotional and warranty materials to ensure that such materials do not state or imply that warranty coverage is conditioned on the use of specific parts of service. And it says you have 30 days to revise your stuff to comply with the law. And it gave three examples that used direct quotes from different warranty statements from different companies, but they just redacted the company name.
Yeah.
Uh, but of course, Ars Technica just ran a Google search and found out what they were. It's Hyundai, Nintendo, and Sony. So we're not really worried about Hyundai's, but well, let's see. Hyundai's warranty says that the use of Hyundai genuine parts is required to keep your Hyundai manufacturer's warranty and any extended warranties intact. In other words, if something breaks on your car, you gotta buy Hyundai parts to replace it. Otherwise, you
Yeah,
lose your
you
warranty.
can't buy third-party parts,
Exactly.
or
Uh,
aftermarket parts, I guess is what
right.
you call it in
Uh, Nin-
automotive.
Nintendo's warranty says the warranty will not apply if the product is used with products not sold or licensed by Nintendo. Kind of the
Which,
same thing. So
yeah, which kind of fits in with what's recently been going on,
that's
where
true. Yeah.
third-party Switch docks have been frying some people's switches because Nintendo's using a non-standard USB. Is it Nintendo or the third parties? I forget. But somebody's not using standard power output through USB-C, and so not using the Nintendo dock has the chance of frying your Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. The Sony warranty says this warranty does not apply if the product has had the warranty seal on the PS4 system altered, defaced, or removed. So that's the.
Yeah,
A lot of times they'll put that sticker over one of the
one of
screw,
the screws, yeah,
so you can't take the sucker apart without removing the sticker. So the
or
company
punching a
says,
hole through
or
it.
punch a
Yeah.
hole through it. So basically, the FTC is saying, no, you can't do that, and you haven't been able to do that for like 60, 70 years. So stop it. You've got 30 days. Hyundai's site is down right now, at least last time I took, but I checked out Nintendo and Sony, and they've not revised their warranty language yet. It's only been 4 days, but
Yeah.
thought I'd take a check, and yeah, it hasn't changed yet.
Yeah, and this is one of those things that just really bugs the crap out of me because Apple's really bad about this too. Where if you take your iPhone to a third-party service center and have them replace the screen for like half the price that an Apple center would charge you, they're like, "Yep, you've just voided your warranty because you didn't bring it to us." And it's like, dude, I
Mhm.
saved 50% over your prices.
Exactly.
And it's just these are just the kind of things that really screw over this us consumers, because to me I'm like, I should be allowed to open up my PS3 or PS4 and clean it out because stuff gets in there, dirt,
Yeah.
dust, and everything. You should be allowed to open it up and clean it on a regular basis without voiding your warranty.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll restate that quote from Thomas Paul, who's the acting director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. Again, he said provisions that tie warranty coverage to the use of particular products or services harm both consumers who pay more for them as well as the small businesses who offer competing products and services.
Yeah, and especially if you have to ship off your system, like Nintendo and I would assume Sony and Microsoft as well, but they require you to send your system into them for servicing,
Mhm.
and that costs money.
Yeah,
They don't pay for you to ship it to them. You have to pay for that. You have to pay for the servicing, and it's more money. I and so yeah, you don't want to force people to pay more money than they have to. I remember way back when I first got my first PlayStation. We had it for a while, and then eventually it stopped working. And we just took it into a local repair electronics store. It might have been a pawn shop, I forget, but they were like, "Yeah, we'll fix it." I don't remember how much it cost, but we actually fried a chip on the motherboard, and they replaced the motherboard for us, and uh, and it was a lot cheaper than buying a new PlayStation 1. I know that much, but yeah, it was very convenient to be able to do that, and if and this was and and this was before companies started really focusing on that you have to use us or your warranties void type language and actions. So
yeah,
things have changed over the last 20 years, and the FTC is like, no, you can't do that. We got to go back to letting people fix their own stuff or pay other people a lower cost to fix their
yeah.
stuff.
You want to make money off of people repairing your broken product, then offer a competing service.
Yeah,
Because
offer a
it,
cheaper
not
service. And yeah.
because a lot of times, especially with Apple, uh, it almost behooves you to buy a new phone or whatever rather than
Mhm.
spending $150 to replace the cracked screen. You're like, well, or whatever. It's like half the price of the phone to fix a crack in the screen. I may as well just buy a new phone.
Yeah, and a lot
And
of times
that's
the
what
phone
they
is
want you to
yeah,
say.
and a lot of times the phone is just subsidized by your you pay like $5-10 on your monthly bill to pay for your
Mhm.
phone over your service, and so you really don't you know you really don't worry about that cost so much, and if your screen breaks on an iPhone and you're only paying $5 a month for that phone, you just say, "Hey, I need a new phone," and they're like, "Okay, we got to extend your contract by 2 years, and you're like, okay, whatever. That's what people do. And I've actually switched providers these days to a company that they're just really cheap phones, and that's all I get nowadays. It's like $25, and I own the phone outright. I can cancel my service anytime, and so it's like, I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like this.
Yeah, my phone. I'm lucky. My phone's for my work, so
Yeah.
I don't pay for it. So I have a phone, and I get to try out, you know, all the Nintendo's dabbling into mobile games
Yeah.
because I just use my work phone because
Nice.
I can.
Yeah.
So let's see. Moving on to our, I guess, last topic because kind of
Yeah.
a slow week. I
Yeah.
emailed Zachary this morning. I said, "You got anything?" I got nothing. And Zachary, you had a what's the other story?
It's a
The
Steam. Yeah.
Steam privacy tweaks that are
So
messing with Steam Spy. Tell
yeah.
us about that.
Okay. So everybody knows, or at least I would assume everybody knows about Facebook having Mark Zuckerberg win in front of Congress.
Oh God, that was
Talk
embarrassing.
about privacy, and yeah, it was absolutely embarrassing.
I don't know. Is it like not part of the against the rules or something for our for Congress peoples to actually bring in someone to ask the questions for them, or is it like somewhere in the rules that the congressperson, him or herself, has to be the one actually talking
Um,
to whoever's
I
being
don't
brought
know.
before
I
them?
would assume that they don't bring in experts because they want to have their face on camera. They want to be the showboat and everything.
It's like,
But
look,
they
old
were so
people.
stupid. Yeah.
Obviously, you have no idea what Facebook is, so bring someone.
Can you tell me what Facebook is?
Yeah,
How many apps are there?
there was one of the ones that I found the funniest, if you will, and just the I don't want to live on this planet anymore kind of way is I forget who it was, it's Chuck Grassley or someone who asked something stupid like he's like, okay, so with this whole so if people aren't actually paying you to use the service, how do you make money? And and Mark Zuckerberg, there was this pregnant pause where Mark Zucker's looking at him. He's like, ads. It's like, oh my God, do you literally know nothing about this?
Yeah. But we're still trying to get to Steam here, but this is kind of this is the kind of the going into it. But I will say this, but the sheer amount of hypocrisy on the part of Congress was just absolutely amazing. And if I were in Zuckerberg's seat, I don't think I would have the composure to not respond in sarcastic "you first" type answers,
Yeah,
because
hypocrisy one way.
well, the number of questionings was about how American people don't like to be spied on.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like, seriously, you guys have reauthorized a spying bill every year for the past 16 years, and you have the gall to say that Americans don't like to be spied on? Yeah, it's just like, seriously.
Wouldn't that be weird to see Mark Zuckerberg getting sassy? It's like you first.
I know. But like the whole time I was just like, I would not have the composure that Mark Zuckerberg has here. But okay, but enough about that. But the reason I brought up Facebook was because Facebook is in this whole privacy thing. It's brought privacy to the forefront, and other companies are responding in very, to this controversy, and they're not even under threat in the same way Facebook is. But Steam is one of those companies, and just recently, in just the last few days, Steam made a major privacy change where they have by default have hidden every Steam user's information. Before, you had to manually go in and change your privacy settings to hide your Steam library, your hours played, and all of that. And And because of the way, because it was an opt-out situation before, a service called Steam Spy rose up, which scraped public profiles and used that information to build sales data that they would publish on a regular basis. They didn't publish specific users' information or anything like that, but they would read your Steam library, compare it to your Steam library a week before or a month before, or whatever, and see what new games you bought and use that to build a profile of what games have been selling over the last week, month, whatever. And game developers use Steam Spy in order to do a lot of market research to figure out, okay, what genres are selling, maybe we want to make a game in that, or what genres were selling but aren't selling now, and maybe we want to get into that market because it's an underserved market, or that kind of stuff, or what games are still alive today that nobody else is competing with. And it was a very useful service. I actually read a lot of those Steam Spy uh, things and reports, and I know a lot of developers who did as well. And so with Steam making this change, where by default your Steam library, your Steam profile is hidden, Steam Spy is dead. The guy who runs it, I forget his name now. Let me see if this Gamma Sutra article has it. Sergey Galyonkin. I don't know if I said his last name right. He says Valve just made a change to their privacy settings, making games owned by Steam users hidden by default. Steam Spy relied on this information being visible by default and won't be able to operate anymore. He has basically said that Steam Spy is dead. He can't do it. It says, to reiterate, it's not because of the new privacy settings. It's because Steam just made everyone's gaming library hidden by default. He's not complaining about the privacy settings in general, but it's just the fact that everything's hidden by default. They can no longer operate. They can no longer gather the sales data that they were gathering.
Unless a significant number of people proactively go in and unhide their
yeah,
libraries,
exactly. And so
which people are not going to do.
and there are those options, like you can make your profile public, you can hide it except for only your friends, or you can just hide it completely. And I haven't actually gone in and checked my privacy profile, but yeah, it's it's kind of sad to see a service like that go out of it, or no longer function, because I know a lot of developers and stuff were using that and relied on that for their marketing research. And of course, it is a one of those things where some people really like the change, some people don't, and there's a pretty good mix. Like, it's not all gamers are loving the change and all developers are not liking the change, but there is a mix on both sides of people liking and not liking it. So but the vast majority of people are, specifically gamers, are supportive, or just whatever, of the change. So
yeah, it is kind of a shame in a way, because the data that Steam Spy has been able to divine and share has been genuinely really interesting.
yeah.
And it's just kind of, I mean, it's almost like when the which service used to put out the monthly video game sales numbers and then stopped?
NPD.
NPD, right? They used
Yeah.
to share a lot more than they do now. I think they just put out like the top 10 games, but they don't tell you what the numbers are anymore.
Yeah, they used to publish the numbers and everything, and then the publishers were like, "We don't want you sharing our numbers anymore." And so NPD is just like, "Okay," and so they started just sharing the top tens, and then everybody just kind of said, "Whatever, this is useless now."
But how am I supposed to fight with people on Twitter if I don't know what the numbers are?
Yeah. So,
A Leaf asks if we like Animal Crossing. No, I
I've
don't.
never actually played.
I think it's boring. My
Yeah,
mom and my sister love it though.
I actually bought Animal Crossing for the GameCube the other day,
No, okay,
um,
the original.
for $2.
An American anyway.
it was at Goodwill, but then I flipped it and sold it for $40,
Oh
and
well, there you
sold
go.
it like
That's
2 days afterwards.
probably the most entertainment
So
you'd get out of that game. Now, it's one of those games where it's either for you or it's not. I don't. I've never come across anyone who's like Animal Crossing. It's okay, take it or leave it. No, it's people just love the game and sink
yeah,
hours in it. Think it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then there's people like me who think it's boring as hell and don't play it.
yeah. My
So
one of my little brothers was really liked it, and he actually with the one of the GameCube ones, you could actually play part of the game on your Game Boy Advance, and he actually
yes,
had that whole setup
yeah.
and
There's a
was doing
little
it that way.
island that you could go to and pick
Yeah,
fruit.
yeah. So he was really into it, and he really liked the game, and I'm just like, okay.
Um,
But then they've got Animal Crossing on the Pocket Camp now. I haven't
yeah,
actually
the
tried
mobile
that
version.
yet.
Yeah, it sucks.
So
In my opinion, my sister likes it.
yeah,
I tried it just to see what it was, and I found it even more boring than the console version. And
yeah.
she wanted to see my village or my character, see what I was doing, and I gave her my phone, and she talks to an animal. It says, "Yeah, how you doing, Butt Munch?" She because I named my character Butt Munch, so everyone calls me that because that's my name. Uh, and
Yeah.
the look my sister gave me made it all worth.
Nice. Yeah, see, I haven't been a big fan of Nintendo's mobile offerings. Really, the only mobile
Yeah.
ones I've enjoyed have been the Pokemon ones, and that's Pokemon Go and Magikarp Jump. I've tried all the other ones. Like they did, there is that Match 3 Pokemon game. I forget, Shuffle was it?
Shuffle. It's not on
Yeah,
phones. I don't think that's
yeah, it
maybe
is.
they've
Yeah,
since
it
put it
is.
on phones. It started on the
It's on
3DS.
phones,
Is it on
but
phones now? Okay.
yeah, I played that one for a while, and then I just kind of got bored with it because I don't really like match three
It's
games.
it's also rigged
And
to make you spend money. You can't
yeah, it
do
was
anything
very
with the game.
grindy. Like the first few areas were okay. I was able to get
Hmm. Yeah.
S and A rank on most of them. But then I got into areas where it's like B and C rank for pretty much everything. My catch rate went down the tubes where I was only catching like two, maybe three Pokemon per area. And I was just like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Yeah, it's built so that you have to buy special tools because
Yeah.
some of the later levels are such that do this in 3 turns. It's like you can't.
Yeah.
You have to
And
buy
it's
more
like
turns.
and then some of the Pokemon, it's like you got a 17% catch rate to catch this guy. Use a great ball to increase it to a 34% chance. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
what? That doesn't make any sense at all. It's
Yeah,
not, and the great balls are you have to spend in-game currency in order to use them, and you basically use all of your money to use like one great ball, and then you have to grind forever in order to get enough currency to use another one.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I,
yeah. And Fire Emblem, I don't think is very good.
yeah,
It just doesn't play very well.
it is not.
The problem I have with it,
It's too
we've talked about
easy,
this
I
before.
guess.
Yeah,
It's
well,
too
there's no strategy to it. It's your characters have to be a certain level. If they are, they win. If they don't, you're not going to win, no
pretty
matter what
much,
you do.
yeah. And yeah, it's just yeah. There's no strategy to it. I'm sure the main Fire Emblem games are a lot more interesting, but
Yeah, yeah.
I've never actually played one of them. I played a little bit of Advance Wars and a little bit of Shining Force, which is
Mhm.
another game in a similar genre. And I enjoyed Shining Force and the little bit of Advance Wars that I played. So it's like the actual genre is something that I would probably enjoy playing, but the mobile one was just yeah, not very good at all.
Yeah, I liked what I played of Super Mario Run. They gave the
Yeah,
first 4 levels free.
first three and like a half.
They have since
So
unlocked the
oh,
fourth level. Yeah,
the castle is unlocked
yeah,
in World One.
yeah. It
Okay,
started out you had like 20 seconds or something to run through it, and
yeah.
they've since removed that restriction, so you can play the first 4. And I think it plays. I think it plays
I think
pretty well.
yeah, it is definitely a fun game, and I wish I had caught it when it was on sale because they did a half price sale a while back, and I'm just like, man, if I had known that, I would have bought it. Because I saw the sale after the fact, and so now it's back to $10.
A
So
Leaf says Fire Emblem Heroes is for turbo weebs. What is a turbo weeb?
the only recent offering from the Fire Emblem franchise I gave a chance was Shadows of Valentia. Um, and Fire Emblem Awakening is fantastic.
Was that the
Addicted to
remake?
Chaos says. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it
I'll
was.
have to check. But yeah.
I mean, weeb is short for weeaboo. I know what
Uh-huh.
that word is, but turbo. I'm not sure what turbo weeb is supposed to be. It sounds pretty funny though. I like the phrase because it just has a fun sound and flow to it. Turbo weeb. I like it.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, I guess that's our show for this for this week.
Yeah.
I, I don't know what I will read after I'm done with my current romance novel, which seems to really be less about romance and more about villains and superheroes and giant irradiated lizards.
It sounds like it could be more along the lines of Doctor Horrible sing along blog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Doctor Horrible sing along blog. That was a great show. And
I honestly
new.
didn't care for the ending,
Oh, you
but
didn't?
no,
Uh,
it felt tonally discordant from the rest of the show.
I guess I could see that. I thought it was a pretty good way of ending it.
I mean, it
But,
made sense,
yeah.
perhaps thematically appropriate, but tonally, it just I was like, oh, whoa, really?
Yeah, that
Uh,
went dark real fast.
yeah, okay. And I had some other people tell me, that's what they do. This creative team. I'm like, well, okay. But, it didn't make me say, well, I hate the whole thing now. No, I still enjoyed it, even though I didn't
Yeah.
really care for the ending.
Man, and a lot of shows
Like
that
happy.
a lot of those YouTube web series that I really enjoyed are no longer around. Another one that I really liked was The Daily Show. It's not a Daly with Tim Daly, the
Oh.
voice of Superman.
Mhm.
Uh, him and his son Sam Daly they had a little web series going on called The Daily Show, and that was really fun. Just totally
Hmm.
goofy. They had um, Kevin Conroy on as a guest spot. The voice of Wonder Woman, I forget her name from the Justice League Unlimited show. She was
Oh,
on there.
shoot. I'd know it if I heard it, but I have to look it
Yeah,
up.
but yeah, it was just a really goofy skit show, and I
Mhm.
enjoyed it. And I'm sad that they aren't filming more episodes of it, but yeah,
Mm. All
good
right.
stuff on the internet if you can find it. So.
Yeah. Oh, I saw Annihilation last week. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
Susan
yet. And I
Eisenberg. That's
probably
right.
not.
Thank you, Chaos.
Yeah, was it? It was. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then they had Lex Luthor from Smallville and the voice of Flash on Justice League Unlimited. He was on there too.
Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum?
Yeah, Rosenberg or Rosenbaum, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, he played the Flash. I
he
think it
played
was
the Flash in
Clancy
the.
Brown was Luthor.
Yeah, Clancy Brown was Luthor, but he also played Luthor on Smallville, the TV show.
Michael Rosenbaum did, right.
Michael Rosen, yeah, he did that. He played Lex Luthor in that show, and then voiced the Flash. So
And then there was the episode where Lex Luthor takes over his
yeah,
mind
his
gets
mind
stuck
and
in Flash.
Flash. Yeah.
So
It's like
Michael
at
Rosenbaum,
least I'll be able to see who this is.
I have
I
no
have
idea who
no
that is.
idea who this guy
So
is.
Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on the TV show, played Lex Luthor playing the Flash on the cartoon show.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That's some meta goodness right there.
Yeah, it is.
But
In
anyway,
fact,
I saw Evolution, not Evolution. I did see that movie, but I saw Annihilation, and oh
yeah,
God, I
I've
thought
heard
it
a
was
lot of
boring.
mixed stuff about that. So yeah, I'm. It's one of those shows that I might get around to watching it when it hits Redbox, but I'm not I don't have any you know active desire to watch it like I do a lot of other shows.
It's well, I mean, it's not to say that there aren't moments that work, because there are. There's some really genuinely lovely and creative visual design. There, although most of it ends up being just colorful flowers,
Yeah,
but some of it is genuinely very unique and creative and very cool. And there are some sequences that work. You've probably, if you've seen a trailer, you've seen that skull-faced bear.
yeah.
The sequence with the skull-faced bear is genuinely really good, but most of the movie is just really, really boring, and there's a lot of what I would consider just really bad storytelling and filmmaking. Probably one of the most obvious examples I could come up with is the five people who go into the Shimmer. Um, One is Natalie Portman is a biologist and
Yeah.
former army person. And that actually comes in handy because she's studying the cellular structure of the weird crap in the Shimmer, and she can also shoot things because army. One of the peoples is a psychologist, one is a paramedic, one is a some other science field, and one is some other science field. And other than Natalie Portman's biology and army training, none of the other four, their professions don't make a damn bit of difference. It doesn't matter that they have a psychologist with them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they have a paramedic with them. It's like that's like the easiest thing you could do. It's like, oh, someone got hurt. Well, thank goodness I'm a paramedic. I'll patch them right. Their actual roles never
Yeah.
come up or affect the plot in any way. It's the weirdest damn thing.
Well, and what I've read is that a lot of people who read the books,
Which
uh,
I have not. For
yeah, have said that the books, their impression was that the books would be very, very difficult to adapt to movie to the silver
Mhm.
screen. Especially, they said that the sequels to the first one are just yeah, their impression is that those ones are actually impossible to film, just the way that they're written. So that
Yeah,
might
well,
be part of
it's
the
one of those
problem.
things where Natalie Portman, at the end of the movie, confronts a big blob of CGI. And you're like, what am I even looking at? This probably was really neat and made sense in
Yeah.
the book, but in the movie, you're like, it's actually one of those things where it's one of those movies where you expect to see videos ending explained, and I've been seeing a lot of ending explained videos for movies that don't need an explanation for their ending. But that's neither here nor there. But I came out of the movie thinking, this is one of those movies that a lot of people might argue about. What does it mean? What is it really saying? And I was thinking, it's possible I'm just not smart enough to figure out what the movie was actually trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll never know because I was so bored with the film that I checked out and didn't care to engage the movie on anything other than a purely surface level. I was at the end. It's like, what does this represent? What is the theming? What are we actually saying here? I'm like, I don't care. I
Yeah.
just want to leave. uh,
Nice.
but
Yeah.
a leaf says that the phrase "turbo weeb" is a leaf original and not something that's popularly used. Well, I think it's a fine phrase
Um,
because it sounds good. Yeah, as long as you're not like belligerent about it or abusing people with it. But it's turbo weeb. It sounds good.
yeah.
It means the first line of swordfish is correct. I don't know what the first line of swordfish is. I'm guessing it's the movie with
I don't know.
which Halle Berry had a topless scene in, which is like the only thing I know about the movie because that's like the apparently was the only notable thing about that movie. And if that's like the only notable thing about your movie, you don't have much of a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Halle Berry is very lovely looking topless, but that ain't enough. You got to have more. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's it. Okay, which is probably the third time I've said that, but for reals this time. Oh, you had posted, but there's some language. Okay,
Okay.
don't worry
Yeah.
about it. I can look it up. All right, you've been. Let's plug our stuff and get out of here. Andrew Eisen, Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube. You can find my videos. You can subscribe and hit the little bell thing, but apparently it doesn't work half the time.
Yeah.
So says Leaf. I think it was Leaf who came in here saying, "Oh, I just noticed your podcast was going. I clicked the little bell thingy, but still no notification. Thanks, YouTube." So
Yeah.
also follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. I do try to promote the podcast and the other videos I do. I'll have a debut review up probably tomorrow or the next day. I think that one is I forget what it's called. Magical Girl Ore, which I think means magical girl guy. It's about a girl who
Okay.
turns into a magical girl who's a beefcake in a dress. The visual design is incredible. It's really, really good. Let me show you a picture of it real quick because it's really,
Okay.
really good. Um, there it is. And share. Sharing is caring. There we go. Look at that.
Interesting.
That is what a wonderful. I love the design of that. That is so good.
That is so interesting. Yep.
Is the show any good? Well, I'll tell you what I thought of the first episode. So stay tuned for that. Zachary,
Yeah.
plug away.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about video gaming and politics and other things. You can also follow my game development work at DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. And actually, Ludum Dare or Ludum Dare, I hear it both ways, is going number 41 is going on next weekend. And so I'm actually going to take part in that because I haven't actually done
What
that.
is that?
It's a game jam, a weekend
Oh,
game
okay.
jam.
Okay.
Where you have a weekend to make a game and
Sure.
on uh, based on a specific theme. And I know a lot of people who do these things, and I've done a game jam in the past, but I'm just like, I haven't done one in a while, and I'm just like, man, I need to do another one. And so yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I will be on the podcast next week, so I can take a break and to do that. And then if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com. And just one final thing, I forgot to, with the Daily Show, there was another guest star, and this one's Nathan Fillion was on there, and he's voiced Green Lantern and a number of Hal Jordan Green Lantern and a number of things. So that was a good episode of that one too. But yeah, if you have a chance, check out the Daily Show. Daly is the spelling. Tim Daly. So check it out. It's hilarious. I liked it.
All right.
So,
well, you've been listening to the Molehill Mountain podcast, and you'll have the opportunity to listen to more next week. Hope to see you then. Bye, everyone.
all right. See it.